340 rooms, 90% occupancy, and the man on the phone is telling you that your flagship hotel just failed a health inspection 2 hours before a 5-star review team walks through the lobby. Your hands are steady because they have to be. You are 55 years old, your name is on 11 hotel deeds across 4 countries, and your personal net worth just crossed $500 million on paper. This is level 7, but paper is not cash, and cash is not peace. And to understand why you are standing in a marble lobby at 11 at night with your phone in one hand and a bottle of antacids in the other, we have to go back. 33 years back. 7 levels. One truth that nobody tells you when they show you the chandeliers. Every floor you climb in this business, you pay for with something that never shows up on a balance sheet. You are 22 years old. It is 2 a.m. and you are the night auditor at a mid-range hotel off a highway exit, earning $28,000 a year. The job title sounds almost administrative, but the job itself is closer to triage. A drunk guest is arguing about a charge on his card. The fire alarm on the 3rd floor keeps chirping because nobody has changed the battery in 6 months. Your manager, a tired woman named Denise, tells you the truth on your 2nd week. She says you will learn more about this industry between midnight and 6 a.m. than any of these executives will learn in their whole careers because you are the one who sees what happens when nobody is watching. You believe her, mostly because you have no choice. You are running the front desk alone, doing the books by hand at 3 a.m. and sleeping in 4-hour blocks that never align with the sun. Your friends are out living normal 22-year-old lives. You are learning that a hotel never actually closes, and neither does the responsibility of running one. You are 26 now, and the title on your badge says Assistant General Manager. $52,000 a year, plus a bonus tied to guest satisfaction scores that feel almost cruelly out of your control. You have moved up because you never said no. You covered every shift nobody wanted. You learned procurement, housekeeping logistics, revenue management software, all of it, on your own time. Your general manager, a sharp man named Aldrich, pulls you into his office one afternoon and says, "You are good." But good is not the ceiling here. The ceiling is whoever owns the building. And you are still very far from that. It stings, but it is also the first time someone above you admits out loud that the structure has layers you cannot yet see. You take the criticism and turn it into a spreadsheet. You start tracking every line item in the hotel's budget, not because it is your job, but because you want to understand where the real money moves. Your relationship of 3 years ends that same year. She tells you that you talk about occupancy rates in your sleep. You do not disagree. At 31, you become a general manager of your own property, $95,000 a year, plus performance bonuses that can double it in a good year. You finally have the corner office, the keys to every door in the building, and a staff of 60 people who report to you. It should feel like arrival. It does not. The ownership group above you, 3 investors who never set foot in the lobby, cuts your operating budget by 12%, the same quarter they raise your revenue targets by 18%. You call the regional office to push back, and a voice named Marisol, calm and unmoved, tells you, the owners do not care how you hit the number, they care that you hit it. That is the job now. You hit it, but you do it by cutting 2 housekeeping positions and absorbing the extra hours yourself on weekends. You start missing your father's Sunday calls because Sunday is now audit day. You tell yourself, this is temporary. It is not. Here is a fact that never makes it into the recruiting brochure. In hotel operations, the jump from general manager to regional director eliminates almost 90% of the people who reach GM level. Not because they lack skill, but because the next level requires something GM training never teaches, which is the ability to make decisions about buildings you will never sleep in, for guests you will never meet, based on numbers that arrive a month late. That is the wall in front of you at 31, and most people hit it and stay there for the rest of their careers. You break through it at 36, Regional Director of Operations, $180,000 a year, 12 properties under your name across 3 states. You are no longer managing a hotel, you are managing general managers, which means you are now the voice on the other end of the call that used to terrify you. A young GM named Priya calls you in a panic because her boiler failed in January with a full house. You give her the same line Marisol once gave you, own the outcome, not the excuse, and you hear yourself become the version of the system you once resented. Your own marriage, 2 years old at this point, starts fraying under the travel schedule. You are in 4 different states in a single week. Your spouse tells you, over a phone call because you are not home to say it in person, that you have become excellent at managing properties and mediocre at managing a marriage. You do not have a good answer, because she is right, and because the promotion you are chasing next requires even more of what is already breaking things at home. By 42, you are Vice President of Development and Acquisitions for a hotel group, $340,000 a year, a signing bonus, and equity stakes in every new property you help acquire. This is where the money starts to look different, less like a paycheck and more like leverage. But the pressure changes shape too. You are no longer responsible for rooms and guests. You are responsible for deals worth tens of millions of dollars. And a single bad acquisition can erase 2 years of your bonuses in one closing. Your boss at this level, the group's president, a man named Griggs who built 3 hotel brands from scratch, tells you something you will repeat to yourself for years. He says, everyone thinks the money is the hard part. The money is the easy part. The hard part is that from here up, every mistake is public. Investors, boards, lenders, they all watch you now. There is no back office to hide in anymore. You start losing sleep not over guests, but over spreadsheets projecting returns 5 years out. Your father passes away that year, and you find out you missed his last 3 phone calls because you were in a due diligence meeting in another city. Griggs sends flowers. He does not send time off because there is a deal closing in 9 days and you are the one who has to close it. If you're actually mapping out where you want to land in this industry, subscribe, because the next levels get a lot more expensive. At 49, you become president of the entire hotel group. Your net worth, mostly in equity and property stakes, crosses $40 million. You now sit in the room where decisions about entire portfolios are made. And for the first time in your career, you are the one people are afraid to call at midnight. But something strange happens at this level. The problems stop being operational and start being existential. A board member, a woman named Chandra, who represents the group's largest institutional investor, tells you flatly in a quarterly meeting, your job is not to run hotels anymore. Your job is to be the reason lenders trust this portfolio. If you fail at that, none of the buildings matter. You realize you have not personally walked through a hotel lobby as a guest in over a year. Your children are teenagers now, and your youngest tells you at dinner, the one dinner you make at home for that week, that she does not remember the last vacation where your phone stayed off the whole time. You laugh it off at the table. You do not laugh it off later, alone, in your office, looking at a portfolio worth more than you will ever be able to explain to her in a way that makes the missed years feel worth it. And this is where most people assume the story ends, at the top, with the big number and the big title. It does not end there, because above president, above the org chart printed on paper, there is still someone the entire structure answers to, and that is the truth the industry keeps quiet. At 55, you are the founder and majority owner, the name on the holding company that controls 11 properties, and a management arm that runs another 30 for outside investors. Personal net worth, $500 million, most of it in real estate value and equity that cannot be spent tomorrow without selling the very thing that generates it. This is level 7, the level we opened on, standing in that marble lobby at 11 at night. And here is the recontextualization. The health inspector who failed your flagship property was not acting alone. She was responding to a formal complaint filed by a rival ownership group trying to devalue your portfolio right before a refinancing round worth $90 million. The crisis was never really about a kitchen violation. It was about which name controls the biggest hotel corridor in the region, and you realize standing there that even at $500 million, you are still answering to lenders, to boards, to markets that move whether you sleep or not. There is no level where the phone stops ringing. There is only a level where the numbers on the phone call get bigger. Your daughter, 24 now, calls you that same night, not knowing about the inspection, just checking in because it has become rare enough that she wants to make sure you are alive on the other end of the line. You almost do not pick up. You do. She asks how you're doing. And for the first time in years, you tell her the truth instead of the version you give investors. You tell her that you built something worth $500 million, and you are not sure, some nights, if it built you back into someone you recognize. She does not have an answer for that. Neither do you. The lobby is quiet again by midnight, the inspection gets rescheduled, the refinancing survives, the portfolio holds. You go back to your office, and the last thing you do before turning off the lights is the same thing you did as a 22-year-old night auditor, checking the numbers one more time before anyone else wakes up to see them. That part apparently never changes, no matter how many zeros get added to the account. 7 levels, 33 years, $500 million, and a version of you at 22 who had no idea that the real cost of this industry was never going to be measured in room rates. It was going to be measured in Sunday calls you missed, in a marriage that could not survive the travel schedule, in a father's voicemail you never got to answer, in a daughter checking if you are okay instead of asking about your day. The empire is real. The price was real too. Next episode, we go inside the world of private aviation. From the 23-year-old flight dispatcher pulling all-nighters for $40,000 a year to the 50-year-old owner of a charter empire who has not taken a vacation without a phone in 11 years. So tell me in the comments, which level in this hotel story would you have stopped at? And which one do you think you'd actually survive?